Absolutely, man. And this is another sad case of what Trump's, you know, his executive orders, his policies, his, just his presidencies have done to our country. Ohio woman sues hospital and police after she was arrested over miscarriage. Brittany Watts, an Ohio woman who was charged with abuse of a corpse after having a miscarriage, has filed a federal lawsuit accusing some of the medical professionals who treated her of conspiring with police officers to fabricate the criminal case against her. The lawsuit, which was filed last week and names the professionals, the officer, the hospital where Watts was treated, and the city of Warren, Ohio, as defendants, is the latest development in a case that first made national headlines in late 2023, when Watts was first charged. Although a grand jury ultimately declined to move forward with the charge against Watts, the case sparked fears about how the fall of Roe v. Wade and subsequent wave of abortion bans could endanger pregnant women and lead to police treating miscarriages as crimes. This case is a perfect example of broader implications of the overruling of Roe v. Wade in the Dobbs case. Brittany was not seeking an abortion, said Julie Rickert, one of Watts' attorneys and partner at the civil rights law firm Lovey and Lovey. But the repercussions of Dobbs' decision meant that her pregnancy and her choices and her medical crisis were reviewed in a different way. On the 19th of September 2023, when Watts was about 21 weeks into a wanted pregnancy, she went to the hospital after she started experiencing pain and bleeding, according to the lawsuit. Although she was showing signs of potential miscarriage, the lawsuit alleges that Watts received no meaningful treatment or guidance. She left the hospital after several hours, only to return the following day, although a doctor told her that her pregnancy was in effect over and that she was at risk of hemorrhaging and sepsis. The lawsuit alleges that Watts once again did not receive adequate treatment for hours and left the hospital. He said, "This is it's crazy. I could go on, but I think it just kind of gets to be."
So the hospital didn't even she was there for hours, never got help. Then they arrested her anyways. And I mean, like, how deep is that going to go? Look, that's just a natural miscarriage. What if you don't even know you're having a miscarriage? What if you don't even know you're pregnant, right?
Listen to this real quick.
Yeah.
He said her womb was a death trap, essentially, Rickard said. In the early morning of the 22nd of September 2023, Watts miscarried into her toilet, which is common in miscarriages. According to the lawsuit, she delivered an already deceased under 1 pound fetus, excuse us for this, which she did not see. Watts attempted to flush and clean out the toilet, then went back to the hospital as she continued to bleed. He said the nurse in the hospital contacted the hospital's risk management department and called police, according to the lawsuit. She allegedly told the police that Watts had given birth at home and did not want the baby and did not know if the baby was alive. Another nurse who also wrote a medical note that falsely suggests that Watts had seen and touched the fetus, the lawsuit alleged. This is nuts, man.
The baby was 1 pound, bro. Like, yeah, imagine the trauma
that this
exactly.
person went through. And I mean, and you're like, you're making up these lies. She's having to, and this is like I want you to. It's like the Handmaid's Tale, like whatever that, like those type of stories where they're treating women like this is nuts, man. Like imagine if a man had to go through something like that.
Imagine you're excited to be pregnant. Like you're excited to be pregnant. You have no. Think about this. Think about a woman doesn't even know she's pregnant, right? And then she has a miscarriage unknowingly. You go to the hospital, say you go get a random checkup, and you don't even know. And they're like, "Hey, something's wrong with your blood. Looks like you just had a miscarriage. Where's the fetus?" And she'd be like, "I didn't even know I was pregnant." And then they lock her up.
Call the hospital, lock you up. You got to bail yourself out. This is. I mean, who knows how much the bail is for something like this? Because they're almost talking like it's not a murder charge, but when it gets in front of a judge, it can be treated sort of like in his mind or her mind as sort of like a murder charge when it comes to your bail amount. So now you're fighting for your life because you fought for your life. Pretty much when it came
and they're going to get rid of contraceptives. They're going to get rid of birth control.
The control mechanisms this country is trying to have right now. Me and you, we've talked about Afghanistan and how they don't allow their women to speak to each other and how they're doing this, that in Afghanistan right now. We can no longer look at Afghanistan as a backward country when it comes to women's rights because we're getting there ourselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, man. Like like you look at Afghanistan, you look at this, like damn, you arresting women for having miscarriages.
Miscarriage, bro. I mean, she said she didn't even see it, even if she would have seen it. So what? Do I got to pick my fetus up and bring it to you now? Do I got to do that? Like
Maybe like
a
orcas
dead
do.
baby and bring it to you
Yeah.
for proof of life? Like, oh, this didn't happen to me. Like, do you understand the embarrassment, the hurt, the pain that a person goes? I know a woman, this one woman I knew when I was a little younger, she probably had like 7 or 8 miscarriages, man. Like, she wanted a baby so bad, and she just kept on having miscarriages. One time I was younger, I was probably like, I don't know, 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. She was older than me. She was she had a I don't want to tell who she was, but she was older than me, and I knew her because she was dating somebody else who was a part of my family. And I'm like, hey, what happened? Where's the baby? You know, I asked her about the baby, and it was like, I heard her because she was very pregnant. She was showing last time I saw her, and so the baby had to be pretty big at that point in time. If her stomach's like, you know, big and showing, and she was just like oh, and they almost looked at me like, hey, what are you asking this question for? That she lost the baby, and I just can see the hurt in her face. And I felt like horrible even having asked about that because I didn't know. I don't see them. They live in another state than I live in. I just remember last time I saw her, she was pregnant. And most times when women are pregnant, there's gonna be a baby.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'll never forget the look on her face and how she looked at me and how I felt when I asked her that question. So I could only imagine like what a woman is going through during a situation like this. And we're sitting back here telling them, you better show us your fetus. We want her to show us show
Well, I
you
mean, like,
guys
what's
fetus as well.
think about? I mean, what's
Nuts,
worse? Remember
man.
the 11-year-old girl that was raped by her uncle, and they were gonna keep her in Ohio to make her have the baby. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Nuts, man. Like
yeah,
this is who we are as a country. We got to stop acting like we're not this. We
yeah,
are
yeah.
this.
No,
This is
this is
exactly
us
what you
now.
voted
Yep,
for.
this is
This is
America
who
now.
we are. This is what this is, and this is how it's gonna go, man.
Well, I'm
This
gonna
is
say
a
this is half of America because one half of it can fight it,
yeah,
and the other half is with it until it's going to affect them personally. And since it hasn't affected them personally yet, they don't feel the sting. They just a lot of them like I've seen people talk about, yo, these people live in their towns. There's no minorities there at all.
at all,
At
at all.
all.
I
None
know
at
some people
all.
like this. I know some
But
people
in
just
their
like this.
minds, there some people are telling them that they're the problem that's going on in your town. They're the problem why your taxes are up. They're the problem why stuff costs more.
It,
It's these other people, except for the people that actually that make the moves to sell the stuff. But I mean,
Yeah, and they're the problem why your health care is horrible in your city, or your education system is bad, or you guys have a huge drug problem, a fentanyl problem,
you
or
see
people are
Donald Trump
dropping
didn't even put
dead
his
left and right. You know,
yeah. Do you see Donald Trump didn't even put his hand on the Bible when he was
because
sworn
it's not
in?
important to him. Because it's not important to him. He uses God as a crutch when he wants to use God as
Yeah.
a crutch, and you guys go for it and play the game. But it's not that you're going for it, and it's not that you're even playing the game. It's that he's giving you what you want. But at the same time, they told you who you are to them, and you're good with it because you think you're still going to get what you want. But in reality, he fooled you. I looked at the audience today. I'm gonna tell you this: all that was on the stage was rich people or politicians, they're rich too, and billionaires were on the stage. I said, oh, there's none of you common folk on that stage. Let's look in the crowd. Oh, there's none of you common folk in that crowd. The majority of that crowd, I mean, I didn't see any people of color. I mean, I saw people of color, they were probably Indian American, but you didn't see any black people in that crowd. The one I did see had an earpiece in, so he was probably Secret Service of some kind, or something, or a reporter or
Yeah.
something like that. So I didn't see any of us. There's no representation. He's telling you you're not going to be in the room. You're not going to be in the room. Everything else is just a facade. He showed you who's going to be in that room, and it's not going to be
He doesn't
us.
need anybody anymore. He all he needs is a pen and a sweep, and he can do whatever he wants. He has the
Absolutely.
powers of a king. As long as he says it's part of national security or he feels at risk, he can. Hey, man, it's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so as these raids start, we're gonna keep you up to date on that. We're gonna keep you up to date on everything. Sir Wesley, he has to travel, so we're just trying out our little Zoom stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? I got better lighting, so I look way better than this young man today. Yeah, yeah. All right, we're gonna see you guys next time. Uncommon Courtesy.